Hey friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. If you are new here, my name is Katrina and I have another what's for dinner for you all today, including 4 of my favorite dinners that we made this week. I hope you find some new dinner ideas for you or your family today, and I appreciate you being here as always and watching. But before we get into the meals today, I wanted to say a massive thank you to Taylor Elmore for collaborating with me on today's video. Taylor shares her what's for dinners and grocery haul videos every week on her channel, and she has a huge library of meal ideas on her channel, like her what's for dinners, her what's for breakfast, and also what's for desserts. She also has a ton of grocery hauls. She has a bit of cleaning motivation in there, cook with me's, and some day in the life type videos, but mostly you will love her channel for her what's for dinners and her grocery hauls. So if you are not familiar with her channel yet, I highly recommend you heading over there and checking out her videos. I will leave the links to her channel and today's video in the description box down below. I promise you, you will not be disappointed if you head on over there. So the first meal that I wanted to share with you all this week was by far my favorite meal that I've had in such a long time, and it was prawn and chorizo fried rice. This was such an easy meal to put together by using the already pre-cooked rice rather than cooking my own. So now I'm just going ahead and slicing up this chorizo here, just taking the skin off first. I don't know about you guys, but if I leave that skin on, I feel like I'm just chewing on paper, so I had to get that taken off, and then I'm just cutting up that into small pieces. You could dice this up to make it go further through the rice, but I'm just going ahead and putting them into sort of half moon shapes, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut up a punnet of the small cherry tomatoes. Now, I'm not a huge fan of tomatoes, but these actually were so good in this dish that it really, I don't think you need to love them that much. This whole dish is just perfect. And then I went ahead and chopped up a whole bunch of spring onions. Now, the recipe only calls for 4 spring onions, but I had these in the fridge. They needed to be used up, and I just thought I would chop them all up and throw them in because I'm a huge fan of spring onions anyway. If you wanted to though, and this happened to you, you could just put them in the freezer. I was going to do that, but I just didn't end up doing it. I just threw it all in. So that is everything all chopped up now. I'm going to take it over to the stove, and I'm going to start off by cooking those chorizos. So they will take roughly 5 minutes to cook, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my prawns in just on the same pan, and I'm just going to cook them for about 2 minutes or just until they're pink. They don't need to be cooked fully through, just because they will be continuing to cook once all the rest of the mixture is added into this pan here. So once I just mix those together, I'm just going to go ahead and add in the tomatoes, the spring onions, and also the 2 bags of rice. So I'm just going ahead and putting these 2 packets of rice in on top without microwaving them. They are the 90-second rice that you put in the microwave, but I'm just putting these in just straight from the packet because I am going to be leaving this to cook on the stove for about 10 to 15 minutes. So all of that rice will heat through fully anyway, and then all the flavors will just get to like infuse into the rice as it heats up. So it's just way better to do it this way. And then as I said, I'll leave that for 10 to 15 minutes, and then this is how it turned out. This chorizo and prawn fried rice was so flavorful, and it was definitely my favorite meal this week. I need to apologize about my voice throughout this video. I'm losing it. I've been a bit sick this week, and I need to get this voiceover done, so I couldn't hold off until I'm better. So I'm so sorry about that. I don't normally sound like this. So then I'm just adding 1 teaspoon of soy sauce to the top of that, because soy sauce just goes with every single rice dish in my opinion. This was delicious. I definitely recommend you trying this one at home. So the next meal that we had this week that I wanted to share with you all reminds me so much of my childhood. Growing up, we had a lot of nights with just meat, mashed potato, and veg. This was almost what the typical meal in my house growing up looked like every single night, except I was a picky eater back then and never would have had ribs on my plate, but I probably would have had something like those little thin cardboard hamburgers, as my mum calls them, and then mashed potato and veg. Most of the time it was like peas and corn, things like that, things that kids normally enjoy. So as you just saw me do, I've gone ahead and washed, peeled, and chopped up those potatoes to make the potato mash, and then I'm also going ahead and putting on half a bag of frozen broccoli here as well to put on the side. And while that cooks away, I'm just going to show you these pork ribs that I got in a smoky barbecue sauce flavor. They are so good. I got these once before and I just love them that much that I've brought them again, and I wanted to share it with you all. on today's video. So they just come in a bag like this, and they already must be cooked to some extent because they're just so quickly done. So you just leave them in this bag, you don't open the bag at all, and you just put them straight onto the tray and into the oven for 30 minutes, and they are cooked perfectly. So now that my mashed potato is all mashed up, I'm just going ahead and adding in this sour cream and chive potato mash. I've shared this in my grocery hauls quite a lot, but I absolutely love this mixture. It completely transforms your mashed potato into the best meal ever. My mum used to add this to our mashed potato growing up, and I absolutely love it, and it's really hard for me to eat mashed potato without it now. It sort of becomes a bit of an addiction, but if you haven't tried this one before, definitely grab it from your supermarket, give it a try, and thank me later. So I'm just going ahead and mixing in that powder into my mashed potato here. And so this is how the bag comes out once it is cooked. It literally only takes 30 minutes, and I'm just going to cut into this just to show you. It's quite hard to get into, actually. This took me quite a while to cut open, but just want to show you how good the ribs look in the sauce, and I don't think I can explain it enough. Until you try it, you just don't understand how good these taste. But if you have these at your supermarket, I got these from Woolworths, I would recommend giving these a try as well. So I've just gone ahead and dished that up, and I'm just adding in that sauce that came out of the bag just on top of the ribs and then onto the mashed potato as well. And this just tasted so good. My 18-month-old loved this one. She absolutely loves the meat. It just slides off the bone so easily. So next on the meal plan was chicken Alfredo gnocchi bake. This was one of my partner's favorite meals by far. He's Italian and a huge pasta fan, and to be honest, it was just so easy to throw together. So for this one, I've just gone ahead and grabbed 2 chicken breasts, and I've just diced those up, and I'm going to put them into a pot on the stove with some oil just to cook those through. I would normally put these in a pan, but I know there's a fair bit going into this pot, so I didn't want it to spill over the side. So I've also forgotten to add the onion at the start of this recipe, so I've just thrown that in on top, about probably 1 onion or a cup of diced onion in there. I've got the frozen onion from my freezer because I really don't like chopping my own onion. And then I'm just going ahead and adding in 2 packets of these chicken Alfredo stovetop recipe bases. Each one of these packets calls for half a cup of cream, so I'm just adding in 1 cup of full cream as well. So I'm just going to stir that in and then let that sit for a few minutes in there and simmer away while I go ahead and put that gnocchi in. And gnocchi only takes a few minutes to cook. Once it all rises to the top, it's done. It's a lot quicker to cook than pasta. So I just wanted to mention that we made a huge batch of the chicken Alfredo gnocchi bake tonight. It had like 2 packets of the 500 grams gnocchi bags in it, and that is why we used the 2 packets of the recipe bases in the pot with the chicken. But this made a massive amount. There was leftovers for the next day. If you were just making this for 2 people or 2 or 3 adults, then I would definitely recommend halving this to just the 1 packet of gnocchi and the 1 recipe base and maybe only 1 chicken breast. So I just go ahead and half the whole lot if you're only making it for 2, but this makes a really big one. And if you want leftovers, we're all about leftovers in this house because it helps not have to think about what we're having for lunch the next day. Then go ahead and double it like I have and just make a really big batch. And I'm just mixing that through there, and then I'm going to go ahead and add it to this oven proof dish. I've just gone ahead and sprayed the whole lot with some olive oil spray, and then I'm just adding in this extra sauce here too that was left in the pot. And once that's all in there and spread out evenly, I'm just going to be adding in this cheese that I got. So it's Perfect Bakes, perfect for 1 large bake in the Perfect Italiano brand. I got this one just from Woolworths as well. I get all my groceries from Woolworths. And I'm just adding this whole packet over the top of here and spreading that out evenly. And then I'm going to chuck this whole bake into the oven for about, I think, 10 minutes just on the grill right up the top of the oven. It doesn't really need to be cooked like other bakes that I've done before. It just needs to be grilled on top, really, just to give it that really nice brown crust from the cheese. And this one just tasted amazing. So this last meal that I'm going to be sharing in this What's for Dinner video today is homemade chicken schnitzels and cheesy bacon potato bake. Now, I know that I say this with almost every single meal that I share in these videos, but this one was by far one of my favorites as well. So I'm just going ahead and getting those potatoes prepared for the tray bake that I'm going to be making up once I have the other ingredients cooked and ready to go. But first I'm just slicing these up into rounds, and then I also have some bacon over cooking on the stove top, and I'm about to put some onion in with that just to get that all cooked up and ready to be layered onto the potato bake. So I'm just using some frozen onion from the freezer here. If you have been here before, you obviously already know, but for those of you who are new, I am not a fan of cutting up onions, so I buy mine pre-chopped or pre-sliced. They only like $2 a bag from Woolworths, and I just keep those in the freezer ready to go for when I have recipes like this. It's also a huge time saver, and it still tastes absolutely amazing. It adds so much flavor to the dish. I don't think it makes any difference if you use fresh or frozen onions. And then I'm just going ahead and chopping up that bacon here. I normally love my bacon crispy. Let me know in the comments down below if you are team crispy bacon. But I need to make sure that I keep the bacon soft because I have an 18-month-old that can't really chew that well yet. So it's a lot easier for her to eat if I keep that soft, and it just cooks a little better in this bake as well. So I'm just going ahead and assembling that now. I've just had a layer of potato down the bottom. I did spray this pan first, otherwise they will stick a little bit. Then I'm just adding in bacon and onion on top of that, and then another layer of potato, another layer of bacon and onion, then potato, just until all of that is all in there. And I've used up all of the ingredients. I had quite a lot of potatoes in this one this week just because I had so many that I needed to use up. And then once that's all put together, I'm just going ahead and adding in this creamy garlic and herb potato bake recipe base here. And then I'm also just going to be adding in about a cup of cream to that and mixing that in. Now I did add milk to mine as well because I just didn't feel like there was enough sauce in this container to cover it. So it did thin my sauce out a little bit here. But you could just do it normally and it would be a lot thicker than how you're seeing in this part here. I need to apologize again for my voice. I do not normally sound this down or sick or raspy. I don't even know how to describe it, but I just sound terrible, and I hate this as a first impression, especially on a collab video. So then I'm just going ahead and adding on this bag of cheese here. This is that perfect baked cheese that I used in the last recipe, I think it was, and you just use the whole bag over the top. I don't think I used the full bag in this one just because this bake isn't quite as big as the gnocchi bake. And I'm just covering that with tin foil, and I'm just going to put that in the oven for about an hour and a half, and then another half hour once I have taken the foil off. And while that is cooking in there, it gives you plenty of time to make your own homemade schnitzels. So I've just added some eggs into one of the bowls there, and then I'm also added in a cup of flour in the side there. Definitely didn't need that much flour. I definitely used too much and a lot of it got wasted. So I'm just adding my spices in there as well. You could add any spices to that flour. I'm just adding into the third bowl these panko breadcrumbs. I did get these ones by accident. I was meant to get the normal ones, but if you don't like panko breadcrumbs, just go ahead and put them into your food processor or blender and they will be blended straight down to normal breadcrumbs. A subscriber actually recommended that to me and gave me that tip, and I love that tip, but I thought for these ones tonight I would just go ahead and use them in the regular panko form. And first, before I'm adding them into my flour and starting the conga line of flour, egg and breadcrumbs, I'm just going ahead and drying off that chicken as much as possible first, just to make sure that all of the crumbing really sticks to that chicken and doesn't flake off as it's cooking.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment.
And now that they are all put together, I'm just going to go ahead and put them into some frying pans on the stovetop, just with some olive oil in the bottom there. You could use any oil with this one. Another thing that I love about this meal is you can have these schnitzels or potato bake pre-made in the fridge, ready to go. Like you could do it that morning if you have more time then. I'm not gonna lie, this is quite a time-consuming meal to make, but if you do it that way, it definitely makes it more doable at night time and doesn't take so long. So then I've just gone ahead and added some gravy to the top of that, and that was the last meal that I have to share with you all in this What's for Dinner. As always, thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to check out Taylor's channel. The links are in the description box down below, and I'll see you all again really soon.
If I could stop the time, don't you know